Lots of people ask me, Brian, what's the biggest difference between club level players and pro players? How are they able to play so much better and so much more consistently? And while there's not a single answer to this, I think one of the biggest differences is the third ball attack. The first three shots of the rally are by far the most important shots in the game, and you have to master them. We've already covered the serve and we've already covered the receive. Now the only part left is the third ball attack. In today's video, I'll show you everything you need to know so that you can master the third ball attack and dominate rallies. And I'm telling you, if you don't master the third ball attack, you will never become a good player. So make sure you grab a pen and paper and take some notes. So the first thing we need to do is we need to fix your mentality. What if I told you the main reason your third ball attack is lacking is because of your mentality, not your actual strokes? Too many players, they hesitate between attacking and just returning the ball defensively. And that just makes the game too complicated for you. Let's take an example. Imagine you do a serve and the opponent returns it half long. And now you're hesitating between pushing it and attacking it. And then you just end up completely missing the ball. When you leave the option of defense in your third ball attack, the game becomes too complicated for you and you start hesitating between attacking and returning the ball defensively, and the quality of your shots will go down. So what we need you to do is, before your serve, say in your head, I will attack no matter what. So this way you only have one option. You have to commit to it. It's not like you need to choose between the two of them. You only have one option and that's what you will do. And wait, let me clarify. So there are some exceptions to this rule. Imagine the ball is short, or maybe you're not standing in a good position for it. Then yeah, you can't attack it. The best case is just to get it on the table. But I'm saying the shots where you are in good position, you are expecting, which I will tell you how to do, by the way, later in the video. You need to actually attack them. You can't push them. Attack it. And that's what the best players do. They never push an easy ball. Always attack. Okay, now that we have your mind fixed, there's still lots of things you need to do. Which leads me on to step number 2. Anticipation. Mastering the third ball attack isn't just about getting a better technique. It's about being able to anticipate where the opponent will return it based on what serve you do and how your opponent is most likely to return it. And to know how your opponent is going to return it, there are 3 questions you need to keep in mind. What spin am I putting onto the ball? Where am I placing it? And how will the opponent most likely return it? And we will go over each one of these throughout the video. Okay, now that we know where the ball will go, we can now set ourselves up and attack with our strongest shots to help dominate the rally. And when you think about tactics in a simple way, the goal of tactics is to bring your strength into the game and impose it onto your opponent. That's basically it. So if you're better with your forehand, then you need to think of ways to get your forehand into play. So for example, you can do a pendulum serve. The ball will be returned around here. You can expect it, step around and attack it. And if you're better with your backhand, then maybe you can do the Darko Jorgic tactic, which is really nice. So you do a backhand serve from the forehand side of the table. You do it with underspin or side spin to his forehand. And most of the time it will be returned around here. So you take it with your backhand. So you see the whole table is covered with your backhand. And if it goes to the forehand, so you're like this, you step around, you loop it down the line. And honestly, this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the third ball attack. I could go on and on for days, really, about the third ball attack. It's that complicated. But I can't fit it into a normal YouTube video. It will be too boring. So that's why I've created a free school community where you can join it, and inside there's a 2-hour course on third ball attack only. And it talks about so many things that I don't cover here, like percentage of return, building a database. There's a lot of things that I don't talk about here. So if you want to check it out for free, The link is in the description. Step number 4, positioning. Positioning is honestly really underrated, but it can make a huge difference in your third ball attack. Because good positioning not only gives you the best opportunity to attack, but it also helps minimize the amount of time used to react to the opponent's shot. To position yourself properly, you need to think about the angle of your serve and then think about how you can stand. So let's take some examples. So for example, if you do a serve in the middle, the angle is going to be on pretty much the whole table. So you can't be standing on a specific side expecting it, because he has the whole table to play. So for example, I can do this. Yeah, I don't get it. So when you play a serve to the middle, for example, you need to be waiting in the middle, neutral, so you get both sides. Yeah. And then, if you play a short serve, for example, to the forehand now. See? And let's say I do a short serve to the forehand. So look at the angle of the receive. The opponent can't play it wide like this. There's no way, because it's physics. The net is covering it. He can't play it wide there. So the maximum he can play is push it like here on the backhand. But what he can play is really wide there. Yeah? So what you need to do, you can leave the wide angle here. You stand around here so that you can take the backhand comfortably. And then if it goes to the wide forehand, you're still able to cover it. Okay? Let's take some examples. Yeah. You can get every ball. Same thing for maybe the wide backhand. Look, wide backhand, he can't play it wide like this. He can only play it like here. So what you can do, but he can play it, yeah, he can play it wide to the backhand there. So you cover the wide backhand, and if it goes to the forehand, you can move because it won't be very wide. So let's take some examples. Yes. You get the wide backhand, and then if it goes to the forehand, you move and you get it. Step number 5 is a really important one, but yet no one talks about it. Speed. And when I say speed, I'm not talking about the speed of your shots. I'm talking about the speed in which you get into position. And that's really important. When you look at pro players compared to amateur players, I think one of the main differences you can tell is that after they serve, pros get into position way faster than amateurs. And that means that's something we can work on. Because when you get into position quicker, you have more time to move to the ball, you have more time to attack it properly, and overall it will be a lot easier to attack the ball. So how do you get into position a lot faster? The key is that you need to jump after you serve. A lot of players, they serve and then just casually go back into position. No, that's not how it goes. You need to serve and then jump into position with both feet. And that leads to you having more time before the ball actually arrives. So you can actually use your body weight properly, do a proper backstroke and everything. But if you're just getting back into positioning slowly, you will start rushing the shots, and the shots will have a lot less quality because you didn't have time to prepare for them. So make sure you get into position quickly. That's really important. Step number 6, go for spin over speed. We all see pro players just killing the ball every time. And honestly, we all get tempted by it. But you need to think about how you can win and how you can give yourself the best chances to win. And in simple terms, to win at table tennis, all you need to do is just put the ball on the table more than your opponent. And when you go for fast, powerful shots, yeah, it might come one time out of 2, but that's just 50% chance of winning the ball. But now if you go down and you actually spin it, your chances of getting it on the table might go up to like 80%, which increases your chances of winning And another thing is that a lot of times players struggle more with the slow spinny loops than the actual fast ones. Because when you do a fast shot, all the opponent needs to do is put the racket and then the speed will guide it onto the table. But when you do a slow spinny loop, the opponent needs to get the perfect timing, the perfect racket angle, and put the perfect amount of force into the ball to get it on the table. So it's a lot harder to get it on the table. And sometimes even if he gets it on the table, it just pops up high so you can attack it. So how do you do the slow spinny loop? First, it's really important that you let the ball drop and that you go down as well. Because you need to get it on the fall so that you can actually generate spin. And then once the ball is low and you yourself is actually low as well, of course you will generate power from the body, but the elbow will snap and the wrist will stay loose. And a really important thing you need to keep in mind is that the ball needs to stay on your racket for a lot of time. Some players, you see them, they don't have feeling on the ball and the ball just flies off the racket every time they touch it. But then if you try to return the shot, the ball won't have any spin. To be able to generate a lot of spin, you need to put the ball to actually stay on your racket for a while. And this way you will actually generate a lot of spin and have more control because the ball is actually on your racket for longer. So that's really important. If you want, I can make a whole video on the slow spinny loop because it's a really important topic. So if you want, just let me know, I'll make it. Step number 7. Reading the spin of the return. Something a lot of players struggle with is actually reading the spin of the return of the opponent. One time it comes as heavy underspin, another time side spin, another time dead, and it just gets really confusing. And to know what spin is on the ball, you first need to think about your serve. So let's take some examples. Imagine you do a heavy underspin serve. When your opponent is gonna push it, it's also gonna come back as heavy underspin. But if you do a dead serve, for example, when your opponent is gonna push it, it's gonna come as light underspin or maybe dead, but it's not gonna be heavy. But that's not the only thing. It also depends on how he is actually returning it. So you need to look at how he's returning it. Is he actually brushing and pushing onto the ball? Or is he just bumping it back without any spin? You need to look for it. And another thing is to actually look at the ball. I talked about this in the serve receive video, but it also applies here and in any shot in table tennis. You could look at the ball, see what spin is on it. You can see with your eyes, you can see, is it spinning backwards, is it spinning sideways? You can actually look at it, and then based on what you see, you do the return that you need. Step number 8, abuse the middle. So actually, last week we were analyzing Harimoto versus Ma Long in 2018, and we noticed that they use the middle a lot more than us. The middle is honestly one of the most underused shots at our level, but at the top level it's one of the most used shots, and especially when you have a high ball. So when you have a high ball, the best placement to play is in the middle. Because when you play to one of the corners, all the opponent has to do is reach his bat out and he will get it. But if you play to the middle, now the opponent needs to move before actually playing the shot. And when it's a fast shot, he just doesn't have time and it will hit his stomach or something. So when you have a high ball, it's really important you play to the middle. And then another tactic we actually noticed when analyzing the match is that you can play it once to the middle, okay? And the opponent needs to move to get it. So he can either get it with their forehand or with their backhand or with their forehand. And when he does, it will open one of the corners of the table which you can play. Let's take an example. Imagine I play one shot to the middle. The opponent is gonna take it with the backhand. That leaves all the backhand corner open. So I then play one wide to the backhand and he's not gonna have time to get it. Same thing with the forehand. If I play one to the middle, he takes it with the forehand, I can play next shot wide to the forehand and he's not gonna have time to get it. So you can use this tactic and it will actually be really good. Step number 9, killing high balls. I think high balls are one of the most frustrating shots in the game. You do a great serve, the opponent pops it up, you outsmarted him, you get a free ball, it's literally like 10 meters up, and then you miss it. That's one of the most frustrating shots in the game. But I think I have a few tips which will help you out a lot. So the first thing you need to think about is the spin on the ball. So you need to see, is it underspin, is it topspin, is it side spin? And then your return should be based on that. So in your head, you will kind of calculate, okay, this is an underspin ball, so the ball will go down this much. So I need to hit it up for it to go down. So let me show you an example. So this is a normal high ball. I'm gonna play it like this, but now since it has underspin, so I hit it up, but the underspin gets it down. It's hard to explain. I think you will get it though. So it's like you hit it forward, but the underspin gets it down. And then there's the depth of the serve. So if it's shallow, so it lands around here, all you need to do is hit it and the ball will go. Of course, you need to calculate the spin, but all you need to do is, so if it's here, you can see it's over the net already. You just need to get it there. But if it goes deep here, that's when it becomes harder. Because you're far away from the net, you need to lift it up and over to get it. Okay? So yeah, you will calculate the spin. If it has underspin, so first you need to keep your hand up because the ball is already high. You don't need to bring your arm down because you will just brush it up and the ball is already up, so it will just fly out. So keep your hand up, use your waist, and then, like we said, calculate. But the thing is that when it's deep, you also put some spin into it to get it back down. So you hit and brush at the same time. So it looks like this, but for underspin. So let's take some examples. Step number 10, having a good serve. The quality of your serve determines the quality of your opponent's return. So if you have a good serve, the opponent will do a bad return, which you can then do a good attack on. But if you have a bad serve, the opponent's gonna do a good return, so you're not gonna have a good third ball attack. And what makes a good serve? A good serve is composed of 3 factors. A good amount of spin, a good amount of variation, and good placement. So if you want to learn how to develop a world-class serve, check out this video here.